Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Kenn Bosak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Kenn Bosak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Kenn bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get your Kenn Bosak.
And we're live, bros.
Yo, what's up?
How
We
goes
live.
it? Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, wherever you're watching, go ahead and share this on that social media platform. But then you can uninstall that app, delete that account, go over to X, and just hang out here with us on X. You can repost it's a hashtag not another Bitcoin podcast. As always, I'm here with my bro, Miggy. How goes it?
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We got one of our favorite people here. Hope y'all are watching this episode for sure.
Nerd girl, bro. Do you remember when we met? Do you remember how we met?
Yeah, we were at the Crypto Chicks conference in Toronto.
Yo, do you know like this story of me at that conference and how like all the things happen? Yeah.
Yes, I do. You didn't have a ticket and you showed up and they didn't want to let you in. And then you were like, hey, let me in. And they ultimately did.
That's funny.
Big shout out to Vitalik for eventually getting his mom to let me in.
A story as old as time. Kenn shows up to a conference he doesn't have a ticket to and just asks to get in, and they do.
Well, you know what's
was
funny?
more than
I've got
asking.
another Vitalik's mom
know.
story from that conference. I didn't know who she was at the time. I was like pretty new. I was a journalist in cryptocurrency, pretty new at the time. And I was the day before I had been at the CoinGeek conference because I was interviewing
Yes,
Craig
that's
Wright.
right.
Oh,
Oh
Yeah.
my
nice.
God, I forgot. That's the first conversation we had.
Yeah. So I was interviewing Craig Wright because I was writing for CCN at the time. And and then I was upset because I was so happy at Crypto Chicks because I felt so much more in place at Crypto Chicks than I did at the CoinGeek conference.
I wonder
But I
why.
realized while I was there that if Rebecca Leggero, the reporter from CoinGeek had been at the Crypto Chicks conference, she would have been more excluded than I felt the day before at CoinGeek. And I was in the bathroom crying, and Vitalik's mom came in and asked me what was going on. And I told her, having no idea who she was. And yeah, and she was like, you know what? You're right. That is a problem. And then I later found out that that was Vitalik's mom and kind of felt like an idiot.
My
That's awesome.
bro. Yeah. I feel like that every once in a while when I run into people in this space and I don't know they're like the founder of a project I'm talking shit on. And it's just like, oh, that's your kid I'm calling stupid. My bad. My bad.
Oops.
It's embarrassing, but
Yeah.
I do appreciate those memories. I've been looking back on a lot of those like memories of how I met people. Like me and Miggy have a pretty friggin' legendary origin story. Yeah, I think ours is pretty legendary in its own right. I totally forgot about the whole Craig Wright and who else? Calvin Aries was there, right? Like I forgot
Calvin
you
Air, I
were.
interviewed him
I
too.
forgot all about that, and that makes us running into each other the next day that much more special for me because I'm like, wow, she survived that encounter.
Well, and then it was funny because I was standing there with Peter Sharif, who is, the Bitcoin wolf, and I had no idea, I had just run into him at the CoinGeek conference. I had no idea. You were walked up to him and you're like, hey man, I'm a big fan of yours. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for real, dude. It was awesome. Anyway, memory lane.
The origin
Yeah, the
stories.
origin stories. I guess would you
It was the
want
best.
to, do your origin story, a short introduction to maybe how you got into crypto, and then we can kind of dive into, what has most recently has had happened to you, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sure. There's so many different crypto origin stories that I can tell because it really is more of a complicated, it wasn't just overnight I got into crypto, right? But I was going out with this guy. He was obsessed with cryptocurrency, would not stop talking about it. So I learned about it so that I could have something to talk to him, about.
Nice.
And then I decided after learning about it that I wanted that it would be smart for me to own some of my own. And then I used this is the story I think that you want to hear, Ken, because I've told this story on your podcast years ago. I figured out he was so obsessed with it, and so his moods were tied to how the market moved. So I started making up stories to use the price of cryptocurrency to emotionally manipulate him. I told him that
Gaslighting them, bro.
yeah. Yeah,
She was gaslighting
it's a
them.
horrible story, but I didn't mean it in a harmful sociopathic way. I meant it was hey, be nice to me and your cryptocurrencies will do well. But
Right.
then the bear market happened and it got crazy. Yeah, he's not my boyfriend anymore.
His loss.
So then, really got obsessed with it myself, and I wanted to apply the theory from my dissertation research, which is about the evolution of tribalism and religion, because I was a PhD graduate student. I wanted to apply the theory from that research to study cryptocurrencies, and I wanted to get in touch with a lot of people who I could interview, and I applied for jobs as a journalist or marketing, just applied for every crypto job that I could find, and ultimately got a job writing
Nice.
for CCN. And then I met you.
I met
Nice.
you.
Bam.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gaslighting though is great. I feel like crypto
Mhm.
gaslighting is like a thing we should bring back. Like in your own style, we should all be gaslighting our significant others to get into crypto. You know what I mean?
Oh, for
Like
real.
whenever they forget something, like, oh, it's probably because you didn't get into Bitcoin yet. You know what I mean? Like, where are my
Yeah.
keys? You know where your keys were if you were in Bitcoin.
Yep.
Right. Or when people ask questions about, the economy or just anything in general, politics, just like, well, if you knew about Bitcoin, you'd understand the politics going on right now.
Yep.
Like
Yeah, I
what?
think it's a good idea. Bring it back.
Bring
The
back,
gaslighting
make
great
it.
again.
Shut up, Maggie. You beat me to it because I'm laughing.
It's because
Oh,
I'm in your head.
yeah, yeah. All right, so I want to jump into the most recent endeavors and situations that have occurred. We want to, talk a little bit about OPSEC, and I figured this was a good as any opportunity to, find a silver lining, get some good out of a bad, and, get the information into a way that people may be able to learn and avoid, even though it honestly damn near feels impossible to avoid things like this, right? It's like you could be as prepared as anything, and unfortunately, so I think the real preparedness is to just be prepared to never be prepared enough.
Yeah.
And I guess, yeah, I mean, let people know a little bit, unfortunately, about like the situation that occurred and, where you're at since.
Yeah. Okay. So, what happened is that someone, I work in the crypto industry. I still do years later, right? I do PR, and someone reached out to my partner and asked him for a consultation, and because he wanted PR services and, knew all this stuff about us. And he set up a meeting, and then they wanted us to download this software, this like special video software, and we said no. We were like, no, we're going to use like Zoom or Telegram or, something. We don't need to, we're not downloading some unknown software. And they kind of got like weird, but then they were like, okay, we'll use Zoom. So and then we missed another meeting, missed the second meeting. Then there was a third meeting. And by this time, I
Yeah,
just feel bad, right? Like, I'm like,
right.
oh, we look so bad. We look so
Mm.
unprofessional. And the guy, they have a Twitter account, Aurealis Games. The Twitter account has a yellow check mark. So they're paying, $1,000 a month for this verification on Twitter. They look very legitimate. They knew things about work that I had done in the past. Like, they did their due diligence researching me, which made me feel safe. Like, oh, who's going to spend time researching me, right? Like, unless they are actually an interested client. So when they asked me to download their game while I was on the call with them and play the game, I agreed to do it, and I overrode my computer's security
Mm.
to allow the game, and it is a Trojan horse attack. So they got everything in hot wallets on my computer.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the social engineering side of them with the, you missed the meeting, you were late, this, that, and the other thing gets that off guard. Like you said, oh, I felt bad at this point. And I think like, that's orchestrated and organized. It's like any other situation, it's a human error, humans that are the weakest link of any security, and be able to throw them off guard with like, basically you were gaslit. Like, yeah, I know that's what we were just talking about, but unfortunately that's kind of
Yeah.
what happens. Like, oh, but you're the one who were wasting our time at this point. Like, do you want to do this or not? And yeah, it's like, unless you're not a human and you don't have any empathy or emotion, it's hard to just be like a robot and turn that off and yeah, stop yourself, right? It's like you have to have somebody else in the room that's kind of outside the box, and it's just going to be like, don't do that. It's like we all need
My
that
head
person.
was saying, like, don't do this. You don't need to override your computer's security. You could just tell them to fix whatever's wrong with this and then download it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, no, you look so unprofessional. They know things about you that like they had to have spent hours looking into my history to
Right.
know things
Right.
about me. And I was like, this has to be, legitimate. And then, a couple of days after I was hacked, I think there have been at least 15 other public profile people who've been exploited in exactly the same way. It's the same company, same everything. The story is the same. I did report it to the FBI Cyber Crimes
Mm.
Division.
Don't they have to dox themselves in order to get the check mark, or is that something you can get with that? Because I had to scan my driver's license, passport. I had to give like a bunch of info. my billing address and all that stuff. So like
They
just
might
to get
just
a
have to
room
give
on it.
company info, and if they do that, maybe they have like a shell company or some kind of,
Yeah, I think so.
fake or
I
some
mean, I
shit.
reported it all to the FBI. Like they send you an email back. We've received your message. Someone will be in touch if we require further information. But ultimately, I think the only point of even filing that report is so that you can deduct those losses from any gains moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one company that I know that works in recovery. They're called Chainalysis.
Yep.
Mhm.
We met well, actually one of the founders lives in like Dallas, and that's where I grew up at. And we met him and interviewed him, I think, or talked to him about, working with us for our game. But anyways, they work in recovery, and they work with governments around the world, tracing wallets and stuff for like big hacks and things like that. But they're the only ones that I know that do anything like that in crypto recovery.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. A lot of what they took, well, I'm actually, in some ways, I'm kind of glad that this happened to them because, like, screw them, right? But also, there's zero chance of recovering the assets because, like, a lot of what they got were hex stakes, and they actually
Mm.
had to send Ethereum to my wallet to end the stakes, and they didn't
Oh wow.
realize that in ending these stakes that were like, some of them they got something for, but some were so premature that they spent Ethereum to end a stake that they got nothing back for.
Oh,
Oh,
oh
you know
wow.
what? I love you, Richard. Fuck, that's funny. Damn,
Mhm.
that's
Take
awesome.
that. You're
Fuck
not
you
nerdy
guys.
enough.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah,
You're
dude.
not nerd enough to steal. You're just
Yes.
nerd enough to, try to steal, but not nerdy enough.
I mean, they definitely got some, but
Yeah.
they could have gotten if they had. They ended up costing themselves some of the profits that they would have reaped because there were other things in there that were valuable. It wasn't like 100%, stake tax, but yeah, I was a little bit gratified to know that at least I ate into their profits a little bit.
Is
Right.
there? So I have no clue what's like up with Hex. So here's my whole thing with Hex. I called it a scam and called Richard Hart a scammer, and then
I remember coming on your
that was
podcast
just
and like, yeah.
I don't even know why. I was just like I was like trolling with herd mentality. Like I didn't
Mhm.
believe it. I was just like I thought like oh we're all just gonna say this, right? Like it's funny. And then people started seriously like calling. I'm like, wait a minute. Now if this is getting serious, I have to look into this shit, dude. I thought we were just trolling this guy. And then I did. I looked into it and I was like, wait a minute. I fucked up. I posted a tweet and I was like, yo, I definitely fucked up. I should have bought some Hex. And then I think I
Yeah.
posted my address and I was like, somebody help. I fucked up. I should have bought this shit sooner. It's not a scam. My bad, Richard. And then somebody sent me like 1,000,000 hex. And I was just like, the fuck, bro. Like,
Nice.
I don't even know if I would have bought that much at the time. Like, whatever. It was like, okay, bro.
Yeah.
Like, wow. It was like literally, if I wasn't me at the time, it would have been life changing. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
I was like, I think even at the time it was like 20 grand or something like that. It was like
Yeah,
over
I remember
10.
it happening. It was before the high, but I think it was around Hex was around 10 cents when that happened. So like, I don't know, 10 cents times a million is what, like $10,000? I don't know.
100,000? I don't know. I know when I staked it was like 500,000 or something at the point.
Yeah,
Like
so
it was
maybe
a
you staked
lot.
it at the peak. But yeah, so the code is solid, right? Like that's something I don't think that is really debatable. It's just the
Mm.
matter of how people
Oh, but I
figured
like
out
I'm
like
saying I
the
don't know
old
anything
liquid.
about it. Like so I can't
Okay.
like what like so somebody told me because I kind of like quit crypto. I took a
I
hiatus.
remember.
So
You
during my
unfollowed.
I know I didn't I unfollowed everybody. It
He
was not
disappeared.
personal. I know because I guess
I know.
if you're inactive for a few months or something, I think Twitter did that because like I didn't unfollow anybody like actively. I just had to refollow
He just
more.
started taking
Do
him
you
away
know
from you.
how embarrassing it is that I had to go refollow Immortal Technique today and he already follows me? Like that shit is embarrassing. So it wasn't me.
How
Like
dare
Twitter
you?
did that, right? And that was literally what happened to me today. But anyway, what the hell was I saying?
You didn't know anything about Hex and
Oh, Pulse.
oh
Somebody messaged me
yeah.
about Pulse. when I was in my
Yeah.
little hiatus and I'm all depressed and I'm like, I don't care about nothing, man. Somebody was like,
Yeah.
bro, there's this Pulse thing. And I'm like, look, dude, the whole deal I had with Hex and Richard Hart and everything was I don't have to worry about this for 15 years. That's the reason I went from like, yeet to YOLO. I was just 15, 5, 5,
Yeah.
5, 5, right? Like, I don't have to look at it, think about it. Who cares? That was the blessing of that for me, is why when I
Yeah.
look at the price of Hex ever, like literally doesn't
Right.
matter. Who cares?
Right.
And now somebody's messaging me about Pulse, and I'm like, don't you tempt me. And I was like, I didn't trust anybody or anything. And then somebody was like, you can claim. I don't know if I have like Pulse. I staked a lot of Hex. What
Okay.
do I have money?
So yeah, let me tell you what happened. So Pulse Chain is a fork of the system state of Ethereum. So everything that you had in a self-custodial wallet at the time of the fork, you have a copy of on Pulse Chain. So you have your Ethereum stake that's staked 555 from whenever you did it, the high back when, right? You have an identical stake on Pulse Chain. And the Pulse chain hex is worth more than Ethereum hex. Not much more,
Oh,
not
dang.
much more, but a little bit more.
So does that mean I
And
have
then
a
you
million
also
Hex
have,
essentially?
yeah, but also whatever
Or 2 million, I
accumulated in
mean?
that
Wait, I
stake.
have 2 million.
Yeah, whatever
Plus
it
the
is, Ken.
stake. Plus this. Oh my God, I'm just like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
So then
Dang.
you also have whatever you had in that Ethereum wallet. So if you had you could have, P DAI or P Link or, P any asset that you had in your wallet at the time of the fork, you have in your custody. It's just on Pulse Chain.
Oh,
It's a
shit.
setting on MetaMask or, whatever wallet. You can just do the thing,
Yeah.
Wow. How much did
Having
this
the
change
network.
cost?
change the
This had to
RPC.
cost. There had to be a network cost. This had to be expensive.
No. Oh yeah. I mean, the cost of
Like
forking the network.
of like deploying the snapshot and doing all this. Like, who
Yeah, sure.
facilitated the cost to do this?
So there was a sacrifice for Pulse Chain
Fuck,
at
of
the
course it would be
height
called
of
a sacrifice.
Ethereum, right? So at the height of Ethereum, or no, sorry, at Hex's height, Richard announced this fork of Ethereum. And that if you wanted to, you could sacrifice pretty much any asset, right? It was like there was some really like illiquid coins that weren't accepted, but pretty much anything you could sacrifice, and then you got that in Pulse when the chain
That's
launched.
so
Now,
cool.
yeah, and the point of it being like a sacrifice, right, was so that people could write it off on their taxes. So like
Nice.
I wrote off the money that I sacrificed from my income that year. Because at the time the network hadn't launched, I didn't have anything, and he deliberately called it a sacrifice so that people could say, I gave my money with no expectation of getting anything in return.
I love
Nice.
it. Dude, legal words
That's
matter,
funny.
bro. Words matter. They're very
But I mean,
specific.
all that said, he is being investigated by the SEC right now. So like,
Oh, that
he
doesn't mean
obviously,
anything, bro. They're
I
looking for
know.
Waldo too. Like the SEC's looking for Waldo. They're probably still looking for Osama bin Laden. They'll look for
Right?
anybody.
Oh my gosh.
They're bored. They're
Yeah,
literally
I think so.
becoming obsolete. They got like 10 years left before nobody
It's
works at
true.
the SEC ever again. The IRS,
Yeah.
the FCC, and the fucking federal bureau, the fucking Fed, they're all going to be obsolete. These are three completely useless industries. 10 years, nothing to do. So they're really going to work some overtime, milk that money, try to get that pension up.
Yeah, no, I think so. But I do think that, the SEC investigation has been holding up and just general dislike of Richard and how badly the Hexicans behaved when their tokens were performing well, has led to this like perfect storm where Pulse Chain exists and it's cheaper and it's faster than Ethereum, but everybody hates it because everybody hates the people because it's super toxic, the community. Like,
I like it. Did you guys have or not you guys, haha, but didn't Hex have a Super Bowl commercial while I was AFK? I feel like I saw Hex on TV
Did they?
or something. I don't know if
I don't think that there was a Super Bowl commercial, but they did sponsor a NASCAR. I don't know if it was NASCAR or
NASCAR?
Formula One.
I heard some sports thing. Yeah, I was again, I was AFK, but I was somebody was talking about it that's when I heard about Pulse and stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. Hex is doing things. That's badass. I always thought it was
Yeah,
cool that they
no,
were doing like things IRL, like the show boating. I always thought that was funny. Like the Bitcoin maxis didn't really do it right in my opinion either. Their show boating was like, oh look, I have money to go pay to have dinner with Warren Buffett. Like, shut the fuck up, you loser. Like that was how they
yeah,
showboated.
yeah. No, the Hexicans did a great job of, marketing. It
The
was an issue of
Hexicans.
like really alienating the rest of cryptocurrency in a way that like still resounds today, right? Like even okay, J Chains, right? He tweeted something, it was engagement farming about Pulse Chain being like, oh, I'll get people riled up and whatever. And the amount of like emotional responses that he got so many DMs from people too. It wasn't even just people commenting that he was like, hey, that was not worth it, engagement farming. Like a lot of the time, like sometimes it's worth it to like get a little bit of shit and whatever, but that never mind. I'm never gonna engagement bait your community again. Fine. I'll just go back to not talking about you.
Yeah,
That's
probably. I
awesome.
mean, yeah, if you can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen, bro. I love you, Jay Chains. I do. I love Jay Chains. He's funny. I think one of the first times I met him, he was carrying like 20 bags of groceries into Brecky's place. Uh, yeah, it was Brecky.
What?
Anyway,
That's
I
hilarious.
wanted to jump back towards like the OPSEC stuff. After everything like that has happened, is there anything that you've taken into account moving forward? Do you have like new, self-checking and stuff like that, or is there anything that you do new?
Yeah, so one of my very good friends bought me a new computer that's crypto only. Uh so yeah, so I'm gonna have that computer. It's not hooked up to anything. Like there's no Telegram, no text messages, no social media. It's crypto only, period. I had previously had a hardware wallet and used a hardware wallet, but then become convinced that hardware wallets were like absolutely not worth it.
Yep.
So had stopped using a hardware wallet. I have a hardware wallet again now. So those are I mean, obviously, aside from the obvious, like not clicking on a public Wi-Fi. But if you're dealing with more significant amounts of money, if it's a couple thousand and you want to have access to it wherever you are, I guess, that's a different thing. But if you're dealing with money that you're saving, right, for your life and you have, plans for, definitely separate device, hardware wallets, multi-sig,
What do you suggest for somebody who's like new, who might encounter this? Because you know how, like you said, the Twitter page, all this stuff was completely legitimate. So I mean, someone could still be kind of careful about their security, but may not know how to handle if they come across like, because like what were the red flags that you notice where it's like, hey, this is kind of fishy. But people who aren't so experienced, they might overlook some things and just not realize it because they see the gold ticker or whatever, and they're just like, okay, well, this should be legit because they're legit.
Yeah. I would say just if you don't know the person who sent you, like don't personally know the person who sent you a link, don't
Don't do it.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
it seems like, and it's so crazy because just like a couple of nights before this happened, I was talking to this guy on Tinder and he like wanted me to watch his video and he sent me a link to his video and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to click that link. And he's like,
That's
why
funny.
not? And I was like, there's like sensitive information on my computer and I'm not going to click a link from a stranger.
Nice.
Yeah, this is exactly what Elemental Souls is all about. I don't know if you've been following
Nice.
me a little bit, but I got a kids cartoon in the oven. I'm cooking up a Web3 educational kids cartoon, and our first episode is scripted around OPSEC in the sense of like, deep faking. A little bit about like the concept is like, if you have a kid at home and somebody uses deep fake to call them on FaceTime and pretend to be
Right.
grandmom. They look like grandmom, they sound like grandmom, and all grandmom needs is the number on the bottom of the router to help, grandmom get the number on the bottom of the router so grandmom can get the Netflix to work, right? And then dad
Mhm.
comes home or mom comes home and the compromised network at home now. You connect your phone to
Yeah.
your home Wi-Fi, and next thing you know, your phone's wiped, your computers are wiped, nothing's working, and you connect your hardware wallet to your computer that's connected to the router, and you're trying to figure out what's happening, and everything keeps getting drained because you didn't realize somebody convinced somebody in your house to give up the information, the keys to your
No.
digital castle. And that's as easy as an app these days. So Elemental Souls is going to be doing like adventure-based education around things like that in Web3.
That's awesome. So my daughter watches so much TikTok that she's like, she comes to me and she's like, Mom, we need to come up with a code word so that if they ever deep fake,
Yes.
yeah, like she's like, so that if anybody ever deep fakes you, I can say like, what's the code word? And they won't know unless they're you. So we
Nice.
have a code word.
That's
That's
really good to
awesome.
know. Me
Mhm.
and Mickey have a code word too. It's code word.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yep.
we need to make a new one
Oh.
now.
Code word point two.
Exclamation point.
No, that's awesome though. That sounds really cool. I want to check out that series when you have, when is the first episode going to air?
We're trying to get it done before Christmas, but we have like
Okay.
clips and stuff we're working on. We're doing a 420 one of one NFT pre-sale kind of thing, like pre-order. Waiting for the Asvoria marketplace and launchpad to go live. It's been delayed once or twice, but right now it's looking like next month. It should be middle of next month, and hopefully by then we're sold out of the Elemental Souls. There's only 420 of them, and I'm flying to LA tomorrow to pitch Michael Turpin and all his whale friends at Bit Angels and talk about it at Tokenize. It used to be called Coin Agenda, but now it's called Tokenize. I'm
Okay.
Oh,
going.
that's right.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
going out
Rebranded.
to LA. Yeah, they rebranded in a sense. So I'm going out to LA tomorrow to talk about Elemental Souls, looking for some funding and probably gonna have to give up some equity and some shit or sell my soul or I don't know, kiss somebody's feet, whatever it takes to get the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to pay those really good voice actors you're gonna
Yeah,
have.
I know. That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, I got you guys. I'll do what it
Just
takes,
kidding.
man. I know what these billionaires want. They just want to feel like they can
Uh,
buy me. I'm their shiny little knickknack that they're gonna be like, you waste your money on Rolexes. Look at this degenerate I gave a bunch of money to.
right? Yeah.
I
Like
have
I'm
I
funding
have
a
fuck you
degen
money. Yeah,
cartoon
degen.
for
I have
degen
funding
kids.
degen. I have funding degen money. That's how much. That's
This is gonna be a film for degens by degens.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's by
Degen
degens
kids
for
by degen.
degenerate kids. Exactly.
There you
Like,
go.
kids that are going to be in Web3, degenerates right out of the gate. We're going to
Yeah.
have to make sure that they're educated, degenerate children, because
Gotta
if they're
protect the
not, they're going
future.
to fall into these bear traps. They're going to lose a leg and they could take the family down with them. It's not just one click and it's their
Right.
problem. It's one click and the house is now exposed.
Yep. And that kid will get a whooping.
And there's a lot of lessons that can be taught that don't have to be done through lectures. I think that's really the important side for me when it comes to like the Elemental Souls and it being a kid's cartoon is like don't lecture kids about this stuff because as soon as you start like talking down to kids, I was a kid. I'm still a kid right now, and if you start talking to me like I should know this and don't do that, whatever, bro. Like, don't tell me what to do. Like, I don't like being spoken to like that. Don't speak to me that I won't speak to you like that, And yeah, it's like kids have a different way of communicating, a different sense of respect. They don't like feeling like you assume they're stupid. So teaching them through
Yeah.
adventures and things like that, lessons through other people's perspectives that are cartoons, doesn't come off like you should know this because I think you're dumb. Especially when it's like you don't like it feels as if it could be common sense. But I know people, unfortunately, in their 20s and 30s and 40s that don't have that common sense, and we could help the kids grow up with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I'm hyped.
Definitely.
And guess what? It's only going to air on X. It's an X only cartoon. Nowhere else.
Oh,
I'm not
that'll be
putting it on
huge.
YouTube. I'm not putting it on Facebook. I'm not putting it anywhere else ever. Only on X.
That'll be huge.
He has no choice but to support me. He's going, Daddy. He's gonna see me.
That's
So,
awesome.
are there any projects that you're looking into particularly for things in this nature? Like Miggy mentioned earlier, what was that? Chainalysis, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
Chainalysis. They're kind of like a investigative recovery. Kind of they're the good guys that find the bad guys who hurt good guys, right? But are there any
Yeah.
projects out there that you're looking to support, or maybe even get like a job at or something? I'm just curious if you like fell down that specific rabbit hole.
No, I really haven't. As far as like jobs, I had been working for this marketing and incubation firm, but they're Polygon focused,
Hmm.
and that doesn't really fit like my brand there. And then, Polygon hasn't been performing very well this cycle. So I hadn't really been working for like 6 or 8 months prior to all this happening. I was like, I had a little bit of savings, but my savings just got totally wiped out. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I need to take this opportunity to find work that's more suited to like my personal brand and my network, because I'm not going to get back to where I was working on an hourly kind of exchange, right? Like that
Right.
just it's I'm never going to make it up that way. So there are a couple of gaming projects that are launching on Pulse Chain, like gaming and NFT projects that I'm doing
Yes.
some advising and PR for. It's not related to OPSEC at all. It's just kind of like I put it out there like, hey, I am, desperate, knowledgeable, connected, and willing to work, right?
Nice.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
That's a great place to be, and honestly, when there's like
Mhm.
300 million to 500 million people, period, in crypto, we have a pretty
Right.
good advantage having the legacy that we have. You and I and Miggy, just like we've been
Mhm.
here for a while. We can kind of walk into the room and just help pretty much anybody with anything. I think they
True.
call it Scrum Master. You're a Scrum
Mhm.
Master. You know what I mean? You just like put
Oh
people
yeah.
like us, like put us in the middle of the shit, and we organize it and get it running. And I think the best
Mhm.
example that I see is like, if you were to put like Nerd Girl into like a restaurant, have you ever seen like the McDonald's, how McDonald's became a restaurant? The guy who like re-engineered how they like did the floor plan for like making the food,
Mhm.
the assembly process, and like that. I feel like Nerd Girl shows up and she's like, set this side, and like boom, everything works. It's just like because we
Yeah.
know how to rearrange chaos in crypto. We've been there,
Yep.
we've done that, and we've worked with many enough projects. So, which are some of the projects that you're working with right now? What are you most excited about them?
Yeah, so I'm working with two different gaming projects. One is Slime Whale. They're like a gaming
Slime whale,
NFT.
hold on.
Nice.
Give me a
Slime Whale,
second,
yeah.
bro.
It's
I'm a visualizer, so
Slime
I
whale.
just see a ginormous snail whale looking thing. Like,
yeah, it's about right.
okay, cool.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
So it's like they're NFTs and like it's like a card trading game kind of, and it is multi-chain, but Pulse Chain is their next launch
I
stop.
like
And
multi-chain.
the other one that I'm working with is also multi-chain. It is called Sugarheads.
Oh, I
Nice.
like that name.
Yeah,
I think
and
I've seen that
they're like
art.
really
Sugarheads.
colorful digital NFTs. Have you ever seen the game Snake.io?
I love Snake.io. Yo,
Okay,
Slither.io was a crypto version, I think. I
okay,
love Snake.
Okay, so this game is very similar to Snake.io. It like the game mechanic is exactly the same. And the way that it works is you pay,
Right.
a certain amount of pulse and you get, you can 5x and you can cash out and then you can like 5x again. And then I think the maximum that you can go per round is 10x or something. I can't remember exactly what the tokenomics are, but if you
Nice.
have one of the Sugarheads NFTs, you get a discounted pay to play rate. So they have a whole NFT collection that's launching on Pulse Chain. There are already Sugarheads NFTs on other chains, and the game that is the mechanics are Snake.io, but it's like a car.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
I never seen the car one, but I love Snake. I was a big fan. I used to play it a lot, actually. Yeah, it's very trolly. It's like a fun trolling game because that's like the point of the game, basically. Is like troll other players. It's the only way to
That's
do the
fun.
game, right?
Mhm.
I think it was Slither.io that you could play and earn crypto, but then it like disappeared. And that was like 2019. It was around, I think, like 2017, 18, 19. Slither.io. I think that might be what it was. But I used to play those kinds of games all the time.
Yeah.
There's a website, maybe you want to get that company to check it out, called web3.net. And they do executable NFTs. And they could put that game inside of an NFT, and basically it's like an
Ooh.
app. Yeah, I know. Ooh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So basically, I could buy like a $10 NFT, and when I tap it, it would launch the game. And like there could be a $1 version of the game. So when I buy that NFT and I tap it, it launches the game, but I have less health or I have less lives or whatever. It's like pretty cool. You can put the game inside the NFT. Like,
Yeah, that's definitely cool. I will tell them to check it out.
yeah, especially a game like that, that'd be sick.
Hmm.
That'd be fun.
I don't
I'm
know. I
still
gotta
waiting
look
for
into
the
the
Doom.
Pulse game stuff because, like, my boy Alex turned me on to the 404 NFTs. He has
Hmm.
a 404 Mon MON, the 404 MON 404 Mon. Have you heard of them?
Hmm. No, I know 404, they're inscriptions, right?
Yeah, he has a collection though in there called
Okay.
404 Mon. It's kind of like a play on Pokemon.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. He was my first introduction to like Hex version of NFTs and talking about Pulse and stuff like that since I kind of came out of my hiatus.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just it's a fork of Ethereum. Like it's just the transactions are a lot cheaper because of like obviously there's so many fewer people using it, right? But
But isn't it less secure if it's cheaper? Isn't like the cost of the gas fees like the reason the network is so secure? So if it's like cheaper to use an alternative, isn't it like essentially just saying
I
it's less secure, so it's less valuable?
I think that the reason that the gas fees are lower is actually, well, for one, because the unit price of, the Pulse token is so much lower than the unit price of the Ethereum token. But also because there are so many fewer users. There are still, I can't remember how many validators for Pulse Chain, and there haven't been any exploits of the chain yet. So I don't know that I don't know that it's
I'm being
just
devil's advocate because I know there's those people watching. I know they're
okay.
there. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I
Like
hear you.
it's production value. Like the reason a lot of people think something on Ethereum is valuable is because it costs like $2,000 just to move it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh well, it must be
Jeez.
worth like the reason it's worth $10,000 is because if you want to move it from this wallet to that wallet, it's going to cost you 2,000. And I think somebody moved it 4 times, so it has like 8,000 in shipping and handling compounded into its value. Like that has something that like it's weird the way people on Ethereum like value shit because they have to find a way to justify the cost of like production cost, material cost, shipping and handling cost. It's like you
Yeah.
know that like dynamic menu that you get at like Wendy's. It's like the burger's a different price every hour. Like they're the
Oh
people
yeah,
that are
I've
gonna
heard of that.
they're
It's
the
like
people that are gonna go
over.
there and shop like that. That's their shit. They're gonna love that.
That's so funny.
We are gonna be like,
Yeah.
that's weird.
It's the people that associate a high cost with high value, which most of the time it's not really true.
Airheads,
It's just a
bro.
it's just
Airheads.
yeah, it's just a you getting played.
Yeah, dude, that's why I really like that's what happened to me with Hex originally, and like I'm lucky enough that it sucks that that's like when everything kind of went to hell for me and I kind of tapped out, but I was really blessed that somebody in the community was like, "Here you go, Ken." I'm like, "Thank you." You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
wish I kept in more update with Hex and Richard and everything. Like I don't know what's really going on, but I don't like that he's in trouble. That sucks. And if it's just for like crypto related shit and it's not like he was a bad person to anybody, physically or whatever, like people have been and nobody seems to care about their fucking not being in jail, right? It's like I don't think he should be in jail if it's just crypto related. And I don't know anything else
He's
besides
not in
that.
jail. He's
Or
not in
right, no,
jail.
but going to jail. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. I don't think he should be going to jail.
Theoretically. But the SEC isn't a criminal organization. They can't send anyone to jail. So it's
Right.
just it's a I don't know, civil lawsuit and they're determining whether or not the funds were misappropriated.
Yeah, they're not gonna be able to figure anything out because they're idiots. They barely passed like whatever class they had to get to where they're at, and there is no class for crypto. Like literally, I
Yeah.
want them to show. And I know Richard, show your work, show your work, show your homework. I want to see all the work. Show me all the work that you didn't do because you don't even know how to do it.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of people who have done. I have not done the chain analysis to look at it. I'm more or less just relying on the word of people who I have, who've said they have done it, but they're saying that none of the sacrifice money was used at all, period. The only way that the sacrifice money has been used was if it was in shit coins, it was converted into DAI at the end of the sacrifice, and then that DAI was converted to Ethereum and staked on Aave. So there's no like there's I think they're saying that he bought that 5,555 carat black diamond with money that was meant for the sacrifice, and that he did like these lavish shopping trips
What
with
the
money that was misappropriated from the sacrifice funds. But the on-chain data shows that that did not happen.
If I know Richard, he's loving this because it's going to come out to be like bullshit and it's going to be better publicity than anything that he could ever.
I think he was
Yeah.
baiting.
He's
I think he
baiting
was
them.
baiting.
That's what I
Yeah.
dude, when you're talking the way you're saying it, bro, he literally was like, it's like me walking into the police station and rolling up oregano. And I'm rolling up oregano, and they tackle me,
Yeah.
they arrest me, and then they go and they study, they get a lab test, and they're like, oh, it was just oregano. Well, why didn't you
Right.
guys
Yeah.
just ask me? You know what I mean? You didn't have to just act like that. Like that's he totally baited them, and it's going to be
Yeah.
great marketing when it does come out that they shot themselves in the foot.
Well, and especially if they determine, beyond doubt that these things are not securities, then it's going to be really difficult for centralized exchanges to continue to refuse to list them, because it will be one of the very few assets on the market that has regulatory clarity.
Mic drop.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks is that they could keep, tie it up in court for forever.
Yeah, but that's
Totally,
fine.
I know.
And
Like,
like keep him like that. Yeah, like that's the only thing that they're good at is, you know what? We're just gonna drag this out as long as humanly
You know what's
possible
funny
until
though?
you
Those
crumble.
people are a good 30, 40 years older than us. They're going to age out. They can keep pushing that down the line, but they'll be long gone and it will be another generation settling it. That's
Yep.
fine by me. I don't want them to handle this. Keep delaying it. Fine. This isn't for our generation or our lifetime anyway. The next generation, by the time they're in a position to take care of this, they'll be more educated. They'll have a different understanding and a different ideology. Their brains will be wired more for this than ours is. We're forcing re-engineering of our brain to understand the comprehension of blockchain technology, decentralized, distributed, immutable timestamp servers. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about, bro? These kids are gonna grow up with it though, and they're gonna have these neurological ways that are just like made to think along these lines, where they're just like, oh, you hand them an iPad when they're 5, and they, with common sense, know how to play with it, right? They're gonna have so yeah. Let them keep pushing stuff like this down the road. Because we don't even know what we're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about.
Right,
But the kids
100%.
growing up today, when they're 30, they're gonna know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, so I feel like there's this really important point too, right? Like the possibility also exists that some of, that the people who are saying that he didn't misappropriate funds are wrong, and that he did, and that, this whole thing blows up and SEC, calls, it's a security for sure. And then there are criminal charges filed against Richard, and, everything goes up. So I'm not at all advocating that anyone be a pulse chain maximalist, or a maximalist of any kind. Right?
Yeah, no, diversify your bonds, son. Don't be a fool.
Yeah.
I pity the fool who maximalizes.
Except for Cheddar, be a Cheddar Maxi.
Shout out to Cheddar. Shout out to Esvoria. Shout out to all the other ones.
Now being not another Bitcoin podcast, Maxi. There you go.
Yeah, this should be the show that you maximize for sure.
We're over like 400 views live between just mine and Ken's right now on X, so that's cool.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit that repost button. It's formerly known as the reshare, but it still looks like the same symbol. So yeah, just tap it.
Retweet.
Flick it. Hit that button.
Retweet. You know you like that word better.
Yeah, right.
Retweet's more triggering. Oh yeah, click.
I like how people always ask me, "What's the link to your podcast?" And I'm like, "It's the name." And they're like, "What's the name?" I'm like, "It's the hashtag." And they're like, "What's the hashtag?" The name. What's the name? It's the link. Hashtag not another Bitcoin podcast. The hashtag is the name, and when you click on the name, since it's the hashtag, it is the link. It takes you right to every episode and all the things. It's organized by date and nothing much more. I like the fact that it's very minimalist. I don't want any clickbait in the titles. Nothing. It's just people show up, and I think as I keep doing it this way, people won't want to miss because they don't know, what's up. Like I think you know what I mean. The mystery is better. A lot of people in crypto highlight all the crap they're talking about in their podcast, and it's over informative. I want to see if less info is better, and I think it's turned out all right so far. We're hitting
It's
about
working pretty good.
4,000 views an episode after a day or two. Like the first 24 to 48 hours added up, we're hitting a couple K. So I think it's working across all platforms. Just being more like just the title. That's all you're getting. Watch it if you want to know more. And I get to post this I get to post it in the Ethereum group and on Facebook, and that's all. Like they don't know what I'm talking about unless they click on it. And I'm sure that some of them want to audit the fact that I'm in there posting my podcast. So they're like, "Oh, you better not call Ethereum a scam. I'm going to watch this podcast." I'm sure there's a couple of those guys tuning in. Big shout out to you guys over there at the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. I remember meeting you in New York. You suits. Yes, suits. I was the dude in the pajamas.
What's funny is that there's more of
there
them.
was like crypto influencer bingo, and that there was one thing like took the stage in pajamas at a conference, and I was like, that's Bosak inspired for sure.
Yes. No, I didn't see that. When was that?
I don't know. It must have been while you were gone.
Oh man, at least somebody was doing it. I ain't mad. That's awesome.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
I want more people to wear pajamas to conferences. Make the suits feel uncomfortable. Make them feel like, they overdress, not like you underdress. That's the energy we need to keep this space in. Otherwise, people that are looking out, into this glass house, they're going to be deterred from ever even turning a page in a book Andreas Antonopoulos or Saifedean Ammonimus or Roger Ver or anybody has written, because when they're looking into this room, they're saying, I'll never be able to do this because look at the suits they're wearing. It costs more than the house my family's in. It's like such a deterrent when you see people overdressing for an event that's basically decentrally free. It's an open source. It's fucking open source, and you're wearing fucking Louis Vuitton, you parasites.
Well, and the tickets for some of those
$3,000, bro? Why? It's open source, bro. Yeah. So that's my problem. I show up to conferences in pajamas because I want the suits to know I know more than them, and they overdressed. It doesn't matter what their suit is. They don't know shit compared to me, and I showed up in a CryptoKitties onesie.
I've been there and seen that. Speaking of this, free Roger, right?
Free Roger, bro. Yeah, I can't. I'm sick of all the crypto demonization and shit. This is what happens when we don't stick together. They start to pick us off one by one.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of how you feel about the block size debate or, any of that, right? Regardless of whether you like Roger or think that he is Bitcoin Judas or whatever, I don't feel like anybody who is actually here should be rooting for someone to be imprisoned because they didn't pay the correct amount of taxes when they weren't a citizen of the country, and when there were unclear about just the fact that there are Bitcoin maximalists who are happy that someone is in jail because of the IRS. Is we thought that taxation was theft. So either taxation is theft or this person is you can't have that he's a criminal and taxation is theft.
Yeah. And there's plenty of other billionaires that don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
They're extremely so minimal that it's like they're not paying taxes.
Well, it's not that he didn't pay, he just missed it by a decimal point or
that's what I'm saying. But there's people out there who just don't pay, or they pay, like I said, such an insignificant amount that it's like nothing. And they get away with that legally. That's okay.
Well, it's because he is who he is, and it's example making season.
They got to make
they got to make an example out of everybody.
A lot of people think that it was strategically because this book came out and they wanted to, all of the I don't know what to say here or how to say this in a way that's not like super inflammatory. So I'm just gonna say it,
Do
right?
it.
Like the
Mhm.
Bitcoiners, but BTC Bitcoin really has been taken over by big banks and by everything that we
Yep.
were against in the beginning, right? And so
Yeah.
like all of those big corporations that have billions of dollars to throw at things and lobby, intelligence agency, lobby the government for these things, they want people like Roger silenced, especially right after something like this. And I mean, was it intentional? I can't see how it
Right.
wasn't. Right?
Right.
Like they haven't come after him for all this time, and now all of a sudden, right after this book comes out,
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
remember when Bitcoin maximalists would fund Bitcoin pizza parties, and all I think these
Yeah.
Bitcoin maximalists are funding are Pizzagate parties. Like they've really changed, they're the people they surround themselves with. I remember when Jamie Dimon and all these people were, scumbags and thieves, and they stole from grandmom's purses, and now they're Bitcoin maximalists' best friends. It's
yeah.
disgusting, dude. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't.
I
So
never wanted the banks to adopt Bitcoin. We wanted Bitcoin to make the banks obsolete.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah, it's
another
been
ploy though
compromised. I
to,
can't even use Bitcoin because I'm too unbanked. I had to get banked to start using Bitcoin again.
yeah.
It was the weirdest like turn of events ever. It was I woke up in a Mandela effect in like 2019. Everything was like, "Oh, Cash App has Bitcoin now." And I'm like, "Oh, what
Yeah.
the fuck is
Cash App was
happening?"
at Bitcoin conference 2022, 23.
Scared the
But that's
shit out of
just
me.
but that's just the big tactic, of government is to deceive and disguise and get
Yep.
people, to be distracted because the biggest thing is that, regardless of all these things that are happening, people are getting in trouble for whatever. That may be happening, but the technology is sound. And that's something that people always overlook is like what's important here is the technology, not the financial aspect of it, not the money being made, the money being hidden, the money being stolen. I mean, all this is important and sucks, but the technology, like the fact of, hey, blockchain is something that is very revolutionary, controlling information and streamlining it in a way that's both public and secure is very important. You can see companies spend a lot of
Mhm.
money to both protect data and to obtain it and secure it. A lot of money. It's a major industry that exists. And so that's, these are the things that happen to distract from that ideal. Like nobody's really talking about the technology still. They talk about the financial aspect of it. And because of this, putting people in jail or putting them in court to talk about the money that they may or may not have done this or that with, it's just like another reason to overlook the technology and be like, hey, forget that the fact that it works and it's cool, but let's pay attention over here, that game.
Yeah, it's like the Kong shell game, bro. Like the boardwalk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, all right. So
Oh,
before we wrap things up, though, I want to talk a little bit about your attire. You look like you're gonna be like Miss, the congeniality of crypto. I love
Princess
it.
Nerd Girl
Yeah,
Okay.
or Queen Nerd Girl. I
queen.
don't know
Is
which
it
one.
queen or prin? Are we
I like the princess
rebranding to
title.
like a more royal you?
Ooh.
Oh,
Was like I think it was before you had left, but one time I was interviewing, I was getting ready to interview Ben Armstrong, and this was before all of the shit hit the fan with him, and when I was still doing my regular stream, once a week. And so I
yep.
was like, I really want this to be huh?
No, I was just like breathing. I was like, damn, I kind of wish I didn't leave. Like, I wish I came back sooner. I wish I was here for that. Keep going.
So this is before all this shit hit the fan with him, and I was really excited, and I wanted to make sure that everything looked good. So I kind of like set up a different backdrop that
Nice.
it's like this fuzzy pink chair that's awesome, right? And then I remembered something that Richard had said numerous times in tweets. He was like, or on streams, he had said most of the people in crypto have looking like crap. The best the people watch are the people who have things that are aspirational, and that's why he had his like watch display and crystals and candelabra, and like he had a nice setup, and he was like the only other person that has a good setup like me is Michael Saylor. And I was like, oh, I need to do something. So I just like, okay, what's like the feminine version of
Oh
whatever
wow.
Richard is talking about? And then I like went into my jewelry box and found a tiara and like just all the sparkliest jewelry that I could find, and I put it on. And then that stream had, where I was typically getting like 200 live views, that stream had thousands. And now partly that's
Nice.
because, you know, it was Ben Armstrong, but also I mean, I got so many messages after whole thing because they liked your jewelry. So I was like, that's so cool. That means that like there's a whole audience of people who specifically were not interested in crypto content before because it didn't
They just want to see
visually
some
appeal to
princess
them.
shit.
I like it. I feel like when you go to conferences, you have to go all in on this energy. Like straight up, I will
Yeah.
support this habit if I have
You should look
to.
like dressed like Princess Peach.
Yes, like I mean full on like fucking Cinderella ball gown type, like with the hula hoop around you, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That hula
I'm
hoop dress
saying.
that gives you that distance.
Yeah. So did you ever see the movie The Highest of Stakes? You know that there was a movie, you know, like a really production quality movie made about Richard and Hex. It's called The Highest of Stakes. And when I went to the premiere, it was a red carpet premiere, but it was like cocktail attire. It was just at a movie theater. I wore a full-length princess ball gown with like a
Nice.
6-foot train.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome.
I'm so happy to hear that. Oh, it makes me like sad I missed a lot, like, but I am happy that I'm back now and all of my friends are doing well. And I know we've all had our own, like, you know, turbulence, but we're all seeming to find our way back on course. And like, I feel like autopilot's about to kick on for all of us any day now, and we can just relax. But I see everybody grinding. It's motivating, it's encouraging, it's inspiring, and I hope everybody watching is getting a little bit of that. You know, do something.
Yep.
Do something. Just go out there and do it. Get into the space.
Yes.
If you're just a spectator and an investor and all this shit, man, you're like doing a 9 to 5. The next step is finding a 9 to 5 in the space. It's only progressive. To be doing, you know, anything, to be watching this and working anywhere not in crypto is such a waste of your time. You are better used in crypto, in Web3. You're already, you know, here this far. You are needed. You are necessary. You're an essential employee in Web3. So please
Yep.
join us on the workforce. Miggy, anybody, anything you want to talk about before we wrap things up real quick?
Just you know, one thing that people always ask me is about getting involved, or like, you know, how to do what we do, or how to, you know, get to this. Just get involved and stay involved, and that's it. You know, it doesn't matter what level you want to be involved. Just get involved and stay involved, and you'll do fine. But that's all I gotta say.
Nerd Girl, any final words?
Yeah, keep your crypto on a separate device than the one that you do business on
There
if
you
you've
go.
got more than a couple $1,000s, and don't click links from strangers.
Do not click link from strangers, not even if it's your estranged grandmother.
You know what's
No.
scary? Scanning QR codes too. Guys,
Yeah.
scanning a QR code is even more scary than clicking links. So it's like,
Oh God.
just, yeah, be careful.
You want to
Don't
know
be-
what's even scarier than that? Is the places that they talk about this out of the conferences. One thing that what do they do is give out the free Wi-Fi and shit, and
Oh,
everybody to scan QR codes everywhere and stuff. What are we
And if you
doing to
ever go to a
ourselves?
conference and they give you a hard drive, like a, you know, a zip drive, don't ever put that in your computer.
What are we doing to ourselves, you
yeah,
guys?
why
Why do
is
we do this?
Yeah, why are these standards not issued at these conferences? For sure. If you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, D Live, Kick, I don't know, we're live everywhere. If you're watching
We're
it,
live
go ahead and
everywhere.
share it on social media. Feel free to delete your account and uninstall that app and head on over to X. We're there. We live here on X. Hashtag None of the Bitcoin Podcast. Here every day, Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. I'm here in Miami. I'll be headed to LA tomorrow. I'll still be doing the show. And then I'll be going to Pennsylvania, I believe, and then New York, I
Nice.
think, and then coming back to Miami. We have like Bitcoin Pizza Day. Going to be doing a cheddar get together, so we're going to be doing a lot of stuff around the whole country, honestly, for the next couple
Yep,
weeks.
Bitcoin Pizza Day in OKC, baby.
Yeah, going to be in Austin so LA is for Tokenized. Then I'm going to Austin for Consensus. CoinDesk reached out. And then I'm going to be a speaker at Litecoin Summit because the foundation reached out. Thanks to Rice and everybody, Rebecca and them. And then I believe, what is it, like Coin Telegraph?
Bitcoin, shitcoin.
Bitcoin Magazine. Yeah, Bitcoin 2024. I got tickets from them. So they're cool, I guess. They're sick of me sneaking in and embarrassing them. So they're like, he can't sneak in if we invite him. Fucking, They ruin everything. They make everything so much less cool, bro. And Shitcoin conference. We're looking for sponsors. So if anybody wants to like throw money at a conference that is calling itself a Shitcoin conference, give me money, and we're going to have a conference, and we're going to call it Shitcoin, and it's going to be the 4th year that I did it in a row. Nerd Girl, I love you. Thank you for coming on. Everybody give her a follow, and if you're not already following Miggy, it's Miggy Crypto Live right now. I think that's what it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Miggy Crypto Live. Give him a follow.
Oh, wait, there's one thing I forgot to tell you. I'm so glad that I remembered. Okay, I have to tell you this. You are overdue for a conversation with Identity Block about taxes, and it was supposed to happen years ago, and he used to be a moderator in your Telegram group and your Facebook group before you.
Oh, I do remember him.
Yeah, I promised him that I would tell you, and I'm really glad that I remembered before we went.
Wow. Whoa. Okay, bro. Good call, bro. Yeah. Damn, as soon as you said, I was like, who? And you said moderator, I was like, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're right. Way past due. Okay, we're going to reach out and get that figured out. That's for sure. All right, guys. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to Asvoria, obviously Asvoria.io. They're the bros who kind of got everything back up and running. And our newest sponsor, FIO, FIO. If you want to get yourself a Web3 domain name or username for Web3, go ahead and check out FIO. They're going to be the ones that join FIO. Yeah, bro. Have a day.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye
Peace
now.
out.
Yay.
Goodbye.
Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Kenn Bosak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Kenn Bosak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Kenn bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Kenn Bosak.